Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and only time for a real quick chart lesson today. Uh, the market continues to be a little bit lethargic, although we did at least get some trending, enough movement today to have some great setups. So I'm just going to show you pretty much what I saw. Here's your resistance from yesterday. We broke that in the overnight. We tested it early this morning, but by the time the market really opened up in the regular trading, we had this sell-off right here, and we trended on down and got back inside this range. And you can see once we got in it, we retested it here, and we tested it a few times here. We finally broke through, but all that did was trap the short, so this was a great trap. And again, these two lines that I'm showing you here, this was the resistance from yesterday. You can see across there yesterday afternoon. That was the highs of yesterday, and these lows have been the resistance from yesterday afternoon as well. Um, so they really pretty much played, as you can see, that was the last two closes down here around that. I used those last two closes down there, and that turned out to hold for a little bit today. We got a double bottom there, and that really turned out to be the low range of the day. And again, we did get this break lower here, but all that did was trap people, and then we once we got everybody trapped short, they reversed the market, and we trended up for the rest of the day. But just to show you where the shorts were, the key entry places for both the longs and the shorts, we had one here, and you wouldn't have had this trend line yet. So this one was based off this really being a double, triple top across here, and you can see it right across there. If you draw it across those last two lines, I kind of drew it across those closes like I usually do after it's set up. And it's a second entry short. There's your first leg up, your pullback, and your second leg, and they're pretty much a measured leg. So you could have gone short. Going short right here was a little bit iffy because of those two overlapping bars, so you could have waited and gone short below this bar. There's still plenty of room to scalp out before here and here. So if you took the trade below this first bar, that's okay, but it was better to wait for this real bearish bar. And if you went short there, it was a great setup. Your runner's probably worth 2 to 4 points there. And then we had another pullback to the trend line again. It was choppy again right in here. The first bar you really could have gone short below was this one right. Let me just make this a little bigger, make it easier to see. The first bar you could have gone short below was this one really, and we went higher before that, but there's your trap. We broke higher. That's the retest of the former low right across there. We're back inside. This line was the resistance from yesterday afternoon. We tested it. We couldn't close above it. So really then you had to wait on your next bearish bar, which was right here, but it didn't trigger. So by the time we got to this next bar, there were just too many overlapping bars. But as you can see here, we had a second entry long that tested this high again and made a double top. So going short here or here was okay now because we had a failed second attempt to go higher that likely trap longs. We did have the trend line now. You could see the trend line was holding somewhat here. The prices were closing below that line. We did get one tiny one bar close above it, and then once we got sold off here, it did sell off. So you could have gone short right here or right here. There's still plenty of room to scalp out before this low here. And you can see that was a great move down. You really could have gone short anywhere right in here, and you would have been okay as long as you kept your stop above this bar, which is the one we teach you to, the highest high of the pullback. So going short anywhere in there was okay. But by the time we got over into these bars, if you weren't short yet, you needed to wait on a failed break higher for a second attempt to go higher, and that was this bar right here. So, but anyway, let's move on. Here's your next short right off the trend line. There's one leg up, a pullback, a second leg up, and then it turned down. You had your bearish bar. It could have gone short right there, and there's your another easy 4 points down right there. I would have been thinking about exiting down here because that was the lows from yesterday afternoon right in the same area. But if you didn't exit here, you definitely should have thought about exiting when it bounced again. We did have a little bit of a trend line break up here. Wasn't enough to amount to much, but this was the second time we broke above right here. So, and then you can see we had two little legs down, and then the market reversed. And we also had a failed break below a triple bottom across here. So you could have gone long right here. That was a great long entry right there. I didn't mark that one because I only marked the key entries, and I really shouldn't have marked this one. This is not a key entry, but it's a pretty good entry because look, it's a reversal of what we had up here. Prices tried to go lower once, then they tried to go lower twice, and so that's two times to go lower. And this is really a failed break lower here as well on this strap. So going long above that was okay. You would have had to kind of ride out a little bit of a pullback there, but you should have been able to scalp out of that with a point before that happened. So they probably got your runner, but you should have at least got a scalp out of that. And it's not a key entry, so again, I'm going to take that one off. But if you went long there, that was a good spot. There wasn't anything wrong with that. You had another one here. You really had a couple of second entries. There was one right here. There was one right here. So if you traded those on the way up, nothing wrong with that, but that's a little bit more advanced. It's a little bit more risky. I'm trying to talk about the key entry points that are sure things. This was a pretty good short up here. This is back up to the yesterday's range, yesterday's highs, testing this high again. You can see what happened when we tested it again. Prices immediately turned. So going short, there was a double top right here with a one tick failed break above it. So going short below this bearish bar was okay, and you can see it turned out to be a great trade. It was about a 86.50, about a 3-point move or so. So pretty nice move. You could have gone long right here. You definitely probably should have gone long right here because that's a second entry long. There's your first leg. This is really a couple of legs down, but there's your first move up, your pull back, and then your second move up. So you could have gone long right there, but this was the better second entry long on the bigger picture. And you can see we did try to break the trend line there. We kind of had the line in place by the time this happened. This was your best entry of the afternoon, and that was pretty much it for the rest of the day. We chopped around in here till about 2 o'clock. You see what happens when we broke out of that. It failed. It came lower, tested the EMA, and then went higher again. So even with the trend, these breakouts generally fail. And they're great places to scalp if you watch for them and you pay attention to them. So, but that's a counter trend trade. But if you know how to do this, it's okay. I probably wouldn't have shorted that right there because the market had been moving up since really 10 o'clock this morning all the way into the close and moved up. So anyway, that was pretty much it for the day as far as key entries. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, there were a lot more decent trades in there if you know what you're doing when you're reading the price action. But for most of the new traders, you need to be concentrating on these key entry points that I'm always talking about, which are generally pullbacks to the EMA and the trend line, and bounces off strong support and resistance. And so I'm going to call it a day. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.